It's beer o'clock here in London, and this is the Beer O'Clock Show, where every week we engage in some light-hearted, beer-related banter. My name is Mark, and joining me from the county that is home to Old Farty is my beer mentor, Steve. G'day, Steve.
Good evening. That's the first time I've been described as that.
That's not in reference to you, although it probably could be. Yeah, it's related to some wartime plane testing thing they were doing. They had to take some gas cylinders up to keep the engine ticking over in the low oxygen, and the gas smelled, so people called it Old Farty.
Okay.
There you go. A little bit of
Brilliant.
history for you.
I've actually got a historical, boring, unbeer-related fact. In the fields behind where I live, there's actually an old airfield, which was an American base during the Second World War. So, which is it's all derelict now, but you can still go over there and you can see where the runways used to be.
Oh, cool. Maybe that's where Old Farty took off from.
Maybe, you never know.
You never know.
Seeing as I lived down the road to apparently where a crocodile once lived, and I lived between the legends that are Ollie Murs and Matt Cardle, it all happens around where I live.
Okay, it's Adnams week this week. We got a weekly review of Ghost Ship in a Can, which we've spoken about a few times. We have some Ghost Ship in a Can, but we've got some other Adnams related bits, including our personal assignments this week. My personal assignment, I said last week, was the Black Isle Red Kite Ale, but after talking with Steve during the week, I decided to switch that to an Adnams beer and have a real Adnams episode this week. But we'll get to the personal assignments and the Ghost Ship in just a little bit. But before we get to that, we have to talk about what beer we've had in the week prior. Now, Steve and I met up last Thursday night. Went to a pub in Hammersmith called The Swan, I think.
Yes.
Which was absolutely rammed because it was a gig night at the Odeon. Or the Apollo, or whatever they call it now. But we managed to get a couple of beers and some food. The food was quite nice at The Swan.
Very nice
I would
food.
say. Yeah.
Yeah, very nice.
It was a pity it was so rammed. But they had a little mini beer festival going on there. So they had a couple of casks. They had a cask of... Well, is it cask or case? Barrel.
I think that, yeah. I never know whether to refer to them as casks or kegs. So I normally just go down the route of calling them barrels.
They had a barrel of Ghost Ship.
They did.
Which we didn't partake in.
No, on this occasion I abstained because there were other beers that I wanted to try.
Yeah. Now, just getting straight into the beers there, because that was my first beer of the week after we recorded last week. I had a white gold from the Durham Brewery after your suggestion.
Sorry.
I'm going to put it down to the guy who poured it, because he didn't tilt the glass or anything. It just went straight in the glass, and it came out really foamy, really cloudy looking. And unfortunately, the white gold by the Durham Brewery was watery, lacked any taste. There's a bare hint of hops in it, and otherwise no flavour. It had a really soapy head on it as well, as in a real soapy, foamy head. So that was a disappointment. And you had a Hellfire.
I did. I had by the Leeds Brewery, and I've sampled the Leeds Brewery before because the company that I work for have a head office based in Leeds. So occasionally I find myself waiting for a train to come home, and that there's pretty much every pub in Leeds town centre sells Leeds Brewery beer, and they've got a beer up there called Leeds Pale Ale, which is one of the most fantastic smooth pale ales that you can really find. And when I saw that this particular beer was by that Leeds Brewery, I wanted to try that, and it was a really nice pint. The Hellfire, it was really nice hops in there, really well balanced, lovely colour, and lovely aftertaste flavours as well.
Yeah, I enjoyed that. I got a follow-up pint, and I chose the Hellfire there as well. Very nice, especially following that supposed white gold. So after that night, what other beers have you partaken in the last few days?
I've had a few again. Before you arrived at the pub on Thursday, I'd had a couple. I had a Pure Gold by Purity, which was okay. It was nothing special. I've drunk it from the bottle before, and it was much nicer out of a bottle than it was off of the pump. I also had a Brains Jack Black, which was an oatmeal stout, which I've got to say it was okay. Sort of some nutty, really dark roasted malt flavours, very sweet. But it's not something I'd normally choose, and the only reason, if I'm completely honest, I chose that was because I wanted a beer that I'd drink slowly. So I went for something that I didn't think I'd like. So
and it seemed to work because you still had some left when we got there.
Yes, yeah, I was taking my time with it a little bit. So that was Thursday, and then before that, I was out on Wednesday night as well. And I went to a new bar at Waterloo Station, a place called the Beer House, which is part of a chain, I think, that are cropping up at mainline stations in London, because there's one at Charing Cross, and there's a similar one at Liverpool Street called the Merchant, which I think is part of the same chain.
I've seen that. I've wondered if you've been in there.
Yeah, I have, and I wouldn't be going back in there because their beers are overpriced.
I see.
Which was unfortunately much the same as the Beer House at Waterloo, which was a shame, because if we think about the discussion that we were having a few weeks ago in terms of what makes a good pub, this place ticked all of the boxes. It's like I said, only opened last week, so obviously very newly done up, but really friendly staff that wanted to talk to you about the beers, a welcoming atmosphere, a nice selection of food, and an amazing selection of beer, but just really pricey. It was like £5.60 a pint, which to me, anything over a fiver, you're taking the piss, really, if I'm honest. However, even as it was, I still ended up finding myself having 4 pints in there. So, and I drank a Flying Dog, which was called Doggy Style Powwow, and that was really nice. That was really, really refreshing, really crisp, nice, subtle hoppy undertones. I had a good few of those. I think I had 3 of those, and then I ventured into a fruit beer, which is unlike me, and I had a Fruitess by Leafman's, which I'm not sure if anyone's seen this before, but they serve it in a very tall pint glass, and it's a very deep pink colour and comes up with a very pink head, and it's quite literally like drinking fruit juice. You couldn't really taste the beer or hops in it, and you could very easily get carried away on that. So I only had the one of those, but that was Wednesday night last week, and then I had a few over the weekend as well, which included the standard Brains Barry Island IPA, couple of cans of Hobgoblin, and a revisit to a Sandbrooks beer as well.
Cool. I had a London Pride, which has been sitting in the fridge since not long after we started doing this show, and I've always been avoiding it because I was thinking it's going to be, quite stupidly, I think something that popular can't be that good. Whereas, it's that popular because it is that good, because it was a really nice beer.
Yeah.
And another beer that I've had sitting around for ages was an organic ale from St. Peter's, and that wasn't too bad at all. Nice fruity, malty aroma to it. Nice hoppy aftertaste. Then I had my personal assignment, which I'll get to in a little bit, and I finally got myself a Kentish ale from Sainsbury's, the Taste the Difference one that's brewed by Shepherd Neame.
Oh, yeah.
My review on Untapped.
You're not going to be complimentary about this, are you?
No. My review was basically typical mid-weight bitter, nothing special. And the other final one I had was another Brooklyn Lager. I picked up 2 of those from Sainsbury's this week. I really like Brooklyn Lager.
But it's another one of these. It's a lager, but it's not really a lager.
Exactly. Yeah, it's like a
juice.
It's like a light ale.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it reminds me of
taste the hops in it rather than just fizz.
Yeah, I mean, it's not even that fizzy, really. It reminds me of the beers my dad drank when I was growing up in Australia, like a nice, strong, solid beer. Yeah. I know nonsense lager, really. So let's get to our personal assignments. Continuing on with Adnams Week, or starting off Adnams Week. Your personal assignment for this week was the Adnams innovation.
It was indeed.
And mine, eventually, was the Adnams Gunhill, which I picked up last weekend, as I mentioned last week on the show.
Yeah.
So what's your review of the innovation, mate?
Before I give my review on it, I just want to give a little bit of history on it because it's quite an interesting beer for Adnams.
Okay.
It's their own version of an American IPA. So they brew it with a blend of wheat and pale ale malts to give the spicy, biscuity flavours that come through in the beer. But it's the hops that they really focus on. So what they use is they use a blend of hops from England and America. So there's a combination of hop styles going on, and that results in citrusy undertones and that sort of thing. But the backstory to it was originally brewed as a one-off beer to celebrate the opening of their new brew house in Southwold. And it was created under the direction of their chairman, who's their head brewer was to brew me something to wow me, and that was it. That was the only kind of parameters he gave him to work with, and this is what they came up with, and they were so impressed with it as an original sort of first run beer that they decided to start bottling it. And it's actually won in 2008. This won the World Beer Awards.
Wow!
As well, so it's again, like the Raven IPA last week. This is a beer of some history and distinction. So that's a little bit of background to it, which I thought I actually wanted to share that to be honest with before I gave my view on the beer. So when I poured it out of the bottle, it was a lovely pour.
Now, can I just ask, is this the first time you've ever drunk the innovation?
No, I've had innovation before. I've had it a few times before. The thing with it is that the only place where you can get it is in Adnams shops. You won't find it in a supermarket. So it's one of those beers that when I do find myself in an Adnams shop, I'll get a couple of bottles of it because it's such a nice beer to kind of hold back and to go back to.
Okay.
Again and again. So yes, I have had it before. A lovely golden colour. I find actually very subtle aromas, so you're not hit with any hoppy aromas or any malty aromas straight away. They're really in the background. All you really get off of the aroma is just a hint of citrus when you first pour it. As soon as you taste it, you're getting sweet flavours running through it. So those sweet, citrusy, biscuity flavours, and that runs through into the aftertaste as well. And then on that aftertaste, you get a lovely hint of spicy hops. And then the flavours just continue. So you get the sweet flavours, and then you start getting some dark roasted malts in there, and a deep, rich. And the only way I could describe it was a beer fruit taste.
Right.
You see what you've done to me? That was all I could think of. It's beer fruit. That's what it is. That's what I'm getting. Interestingly, it's got the flavours of those that you would expect in a much darker beer, and that's the thing that's really surprising, is that all of the flavours that you get from it is what you'd expect in a dark ale or a sort of ruby ale, but it's not. The colour of it it's golden pale ale, so that's quite surprising. But all that put to one side, it's a very light, very flavoursome beer. It's quite a big beer at 6.8%, but it's very, very well balanced. And I'd give it 4 stars because I think it's a really, really good beer.
Cool. My personal assignment was the Gunhill. Yeah.
oh dear.
It came across as had a very sweet, winey nose to it, I thought, is what I took away from it after I poured it out. A bitter taste and aftertaste. There wasn't enough maltiness to it, I don't think, to really redeem it for me. Yeah, there wasn't really that much to it, unfortunately. I did enjoy it, but not really enjoyed it, if you get what I mean.
Yeah.
And on the night when I tapped it in, I gave it 2 stars, or 2 bottle caps out of 5. That may have been A bit harsh because I was expecting a bit more from it being an Adnams beer. I mean, it's very pretty when you pour it out of the bottle. Nice dark colour. But, yeah, unfortunately the Gun Hill wasn't to my taste.
I can't remember if I've drunk a Gun Hill. And if I have, all I can think of, because of the way you've described it there in terms of the dark colour, and all I can think of is Broadside, which is obviously their much stronger, darker beer.
Yeah.
So I can't actually comment at the moment, if I'm honest. I'm lost for words.
It could be that I was expecting something else from it than what it was able to deliver.
Yeah.
It was definitely drinkable. It wasn't disgusting like we've had so many disgusting beers. But it was disappointing for me, unfortunately, as a personal assignment for the week.
It's fair enough.
But I'll have to give it another go. Maybe in the new year I'll give it another batch to see if my taste buds have developed somewhat.
Yep. You can't always find the beer that suits you, can you?
No, I like finding that brewery that we can trust to put out the good stuff, like Adnams. In my experience, in my limited experience with Adnams, you can be pretty sure that you're not going to get slop from them.
Yeah.
The same with badges, I find.
Yeah,
you can usually be pretty sure. You might not like the beer, but you can be pretty sure that it's going to be a well-made one.
Trusted breweries, yeah.
Yeah, because I don't like the Badger's ginger beer. Not, that ginger-flavoured beer that they do.
Yeah.
I found that quite rank. But the other stuff is gorgeous.
Equally, I'm undoubtedly probably the world's biggest Adnams fan, but their ginger beer is awful. I don't like it, and they do a very specific ginger beer,
Right.
and it's just the only thing I can describe what it tastes like is that lager that you have to drink through a lime because it's so bad.
Right.
because they've got it's this ginger flavour, but then they've added lime to it, so that's what it tastes like. Is it Sol that you have to have a lime in it when you drink it, or one of those?
Yeah,
beers?
one of those Mexican-y beers.
Sorry, lagers, because they're not beer.
They're not an ale.
Pedantic there, sorry.
Anyway, that's the end of our personal assignments. It is still Adnams week. We're getting to the Ghost Ship, so let's crack on with the Ghost Ship. And
yes.
Let's literally crack one open because it's cans, folks. It's an ale in a can. What is this beast? Oh, listen to that.
That just sounds wrong for a beer.
Yeah.
There's massive preconceptions going on here.
You hear that and you think Carling.
Yeah.
Okay, let's pour it out.
Stella.
Pouring it into my nice gobletty Bath Ales. Another trusted brewery.
Well, mine's gone into my Adnams Ghost Ship glass.
Oh, check you out.
Yeah, unsurprisingly,
okay.
I own a Ghost Ship glass.
Now, you've had Ghost Ship many a time.
Many a time in just about every format it comes, well, bottles and off the pump. So, yes.
I've had it once. I can't remember much about it because I was about 3 beers deep by the time I got to that. So let's have a look at it. Very nice golden colour.
Yeah.
It's got a nice thick head on it from my pour, and I wasn't that over-eager with it.
Yeah.
Very nice
carbonation.
Heavy carbonation. This is almost as much as that Cooper's Sparkling Ale.
Yeah, it's properly fizzing away.
Yeah. But it is a really nice yellow golden colour. Oh, I've got to mention something before I do this review. My brother has given me a challenge. My brother Nigel, who listens to the show. Hello, Nigel. He has given me a challenge, Stephen.
Okay.
That in this week's review, I am not to use the words malty or hoppy or any variations thereof.
That's going to be quite difficult, seeing as the Ghost Ship is quite a malty, hoppy beer.
Well, I'll have to crack the thesaurus out and come up with some variations, because apparently when I review a beer, it's malty as hoppy. Yeah, which is basically a more intelligent my way of reviewing a beer, saying it will taste like beer.
Yeah, tastes like beer.
So I have to come up with something a bit more intelligent than just saying, it's very malty hoppy.
Okay.
So let's get the aroma of it.
It's I'll tell you the first thing that and it surprised me, because I know we've been having this debate about cans for the last few weeks. The first thing on the aroma there is that you don't get that aroma from the bottle.
No.
Of Ghost Ship,
Okay.
and that's more reminiscent of a pour from a pump in a pub.
Okay. It's very fresh smell, isn't it?
Yeah, very outsidey, very hoppy. I'm allowed to say it because it is
very
citrus.
Yeah, citrusy with a very, very slight piney scent to it.
Yeah,
Just in the background.
There's some earthy tones going on in the background as well. Just at the end of the sniff of the beer, the aroma. There's some earthy undertones in there.
Had my first taste. It's heavier than I thought it would be.
Oh,
you get that spice and bitterness coming through.
Yeah, that's really quite surprising because that mirrors the taste, mirrors the aroma. The taste is like you would get if that was poured off a pump in a pub. And I've got to say, you don't get that in a bottle. It's a different flavour to in a bottle.
Yep. Like I said, I can't remember what it was like when I drank it the first time. But considering the aroma coming off the initial pour, that taste is quite surprising to me.
Yeah.
It's a thicker taste than I thought it would be. There's more depth to it, I mean.
Yeah, it's I'm really surprised. I've got to say this because I almost don't believe I'm going to say this, but it's better than from a bottle.
Now, you didn't like this the first time you had it. Oh no, have you had this in the can before?
I've not had it in the can.
Oh right,
I didn't like the fact that it was in a can.
Yeah, it's the Hobgoblin that you had in a can. I was confused. Okay,
yes,
you've not had this in a can before, so this is new to you as well.
It is.
So, because you were very sceptical about it being put out in a can, which is why we started the conversation between us and Adnams on why would they put it in a can. And I think you have some information about that, don't you?
I do. When it was released in October, it was released at the beginning of October in cans. Their head brewer, a guy by the name of Fergus Fitzgerald, who can be found on Twitter at Soulbear. That's SOLE Bear BEAR. He put a blog on their website about Ghost Ship in cans, and the title of the blog was "Can beer be good beer? And if it can, why can it?" Too many cans in that sentence for me. But there was just a few things that I've picked out of the of that blog that I wanted to share. So he talks in it about the perception of beer in a can being a poorer cousin to that of a bottle, and obviously being more reminiscent of lagers and mass-produced lagers. But then goes on to talk about why they chose to do Ghost Ship in cans and the good thing about it. So the first thing he says is that there's no chance of the beer having a light struck flavour, which can be described as skunky or onion-like, developing because obviously all the light's blocked out because it's in a can. So in a bottle, light still gets to the liquid and can change the flavours of the liquid. So even though amber or brown glass does a job of keeping out certain wavelengths of light, it doesn't stop it altogether. And then the cans do a better job of stopping oxygen getting into the beer than when you top off a bottle. And that is also balanced, has to be balanced with the fact that it's harder to keep the oxygen out of the cans while it's being filled, so hence probably why it's more carbonated as it's come out there. Another reason was because they've got an advantage in the way they acclimatise to temperature, so cans will cool down quicker and they'll heat up quicker as well. So you can dependent on how you like to enjoy your beer, again, going back to one of our older debates, cold or warm, you can chill it down quicker or you can warm it up quicker.
Yeah.
And then his final point, which I think is a great point, is and I'm going to read this pretty much word for word. You can read this on the Adnams website, but I'm just going to read this paragraph. Regardless of all this, the single biggest factor that determines whether the beer coming out of a can will be any good, the thing that eclipses the pros and cons of the bottle versus can, the thing that should matter the most is whether the beer that is put into the can is any good.
Yeah.
So I think the point that he's making is that the Ghost Ship is a great beer. Not that I'm biased at all, and there's a whole host of other environmental reasons why they chose to do it in a can as well. And as I say, if you want to read that, you can find it on the Adnams website. It's quite a good read.
Yeah, I mean it's cheaper to transport because it's lighter than bottles.
Yeah.
That thing about the cans being more airtight than the bottles, he does also make the point that obviously more air will get into the beer when they're putting it into the cans because the can opening is wider. But so that the possibilities there. But I remember reading that when he first put it up and when you first tweeted the link. Very interesting read, especially if you find the whole ale in a can thing as contentious as Stephen does.
I think with me it's purely that perception that if it's in a can, it's mass produced cheap crap.
Yeah.
But I've actually been proven wrong twice now. The Hobgoblin out of a can gives me hoppy flavours that I've never ever got from Hobgoblin in a bottle. It's almost like drinking a different version of Hobgoblin. And the Ghost Ship in a can is more like the experience that you get with Ghost Ship in a pub than Ghost Ship in a bottle.
How does the ABV compare to the bottle version?
I think they're all the same.
Okay.
I think that they're around that 4.5.
Is the pump the same?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a nice change. Normally the pump version's a bit lower, isn't it?
Yeah.
Now you didn't like Hobgoblin from a can when you first had it, but you drank it directly from the can.
I drank it straight out of the can.
And then when you poured it out later, well, another night you had another one, and that's when you discovered the additional hops coming through.
Yeah. But this is, I am completely shocked by this. And again, we should probably thank Adnams for sending us these beers to do on the show, to try and help settle our debate about whether beer should be in cans or not.
Yeah, it all tastes the same to me, folks.
It tastes like beer.
That's a nice beer, this.
It's a lovely beer. I mean, this is your first experience of Ghost Ship, so I'm actually quite... Because I've raved on about it time and time again. If we were to go back over the previous 15 episodes, I think I probably mentioned it at least 10 times in 10 different episodes. My favourite beer, clearly my number one beer of all time. What do you think of it?
I like it. I think it's a fair beer. I have had it before, but like I said, that I wasn't sober. I had 2 or 3 beers beforehand, so my taste buds were already under assault. And that evening I did manage to spill half of it on the couch I was sitting on, so I drank the rest of it quite embarrassed. Spillage! No, it's really nice. I like the aroma of it. It's got that very light piney... Remember last week the Raven had that heavily piney smell to it. I get a very faint hint of that on this, as well as that citrusy scent. But when you drink it, it's like flipping. You know how you got when you're sleeping on a pillow in the summer, and it's getting hot, so you turn it over to get the cool side.
Yeah,
and it's like a different experience. This is what this is like.
That's a great analogy.
The smell is completely separate to the actual taste. The taste, you get that bitterness, you get that, I don't know, that earthiness to it. I'm trying not to say those 2 magic words.
You are, aren't you?
But no, you get that spicy bitterness to it. There's that enveloping earthiness to it. Not in a really muddy way, but just in a... I don't know. Let me have some more.
Well, so I'm going to have some more, but to do that, I need to open another can.
Bloody hell! This is the first time.
How much I like this.
This is the first time you've gone on to a second.
Yeah.
Because these are still. How big are these? 440ml, so they're almost bottle sized.
Hey, I've had a hard week.
Oh, it's only Tuesday. Hard week indeed.
Oh, poured that one with a massive head. Got a bit excited there. Cyclops recommends this one.
Oh, can I just stop? I just realised today why Cyclops is called Cyclops.
Oh, go on then.
Because when it's got the little diagram on there,
yeah.
It's got the eye for what you see, it's got the nose for what you smell, and the mouth for what you taste. But when it's got the eye, nose, mouth, and it looks like a Cyclops.
There you are.
And I saw that. I thought, that's
I'm
genius.
Seeing that now for the first time.
That's genius.
Excellent. You heard it here first, folks. So, what do they have to say about it? So we're seeing amber bronze, which, yeah, yep. I'd agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
A smell of citrus, fresh hop, and this is an interesting one, black currants.
I didn't get the black currants.
No, I got the citrus and the fresh hop. I'll say it for you, but I didn't get the black currants. And then on the taste, zesty, wild berries, and a smooth taste.
Actually, I've got about maybe a third left, and now I'm able to swirl it around a bit more to release those aromas. And the scent is much deeper now.
Mm.
Yeah, I'm really picking up the fruitiness in there now. I love this part of the show where there's not much left. There's still enough to get a couple of mouthfuls in, but it's enough to swirl around in the glass without worrying about spilling it. And it's warmed up, and it's releasing all those aromas. There's nothing like getting that different perception of a beer when you're halfway through.
It comes to life, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Sometimes. For me, there are two stages with a beer. There's that initial, that first refreshing mouthful or swig of a new beer. And then there's the second half, where, as you say, you're getting new aromas, you're getting new flavours every time you're going back to it. And that's why I love beer, because it's just... it gives you so much. The gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah.
Even the next day.
Yes. So the aroma's deeper now for me. It's a darker aroma, if you get what I mean.
Yep.
Now, as we said last week from that BBC show we watched, your taste becomes accustomed to something after a few mouthfuls. So, the taste is mellowing for me now. There's still that spiciness to it. It's not as bitter as it was originally. I can see why you like it. It's very well balanced, very smooth.
Mm.
The carbonation's died down now, obviously, now that it's opened up a bit. So it's going down quite easily. I can see why you like this beer. I don't see why it's your favourite ever, to be quite honest.
I think...
Explain to me... Sorry to interrupt you.
No, go on.
Explain to me, what is it specifically about this beer that sets it aside from the rest?
I think there are a couple of things for me for it. The first one is that it's associated with an experience. So the first time I was introduced to Ghost Ship was the first time I went to the Great British Beer Festival, and it was the beer that stood out as the highlight of the day for me. So I kind of always remember, I have fond memories of discovering Ghost Ship. The second thing is it's just a really easy beer. It's a really easy enjoy any time of the year beer. It's a lovely refreshing beer in the summer. It's a nice comforting beer in the winter. It's the combination of the flavours of the hops and the malts. They just work so well together for me. This is just it's just the total package for me.
Mm-hmm.
I can't be any clearer than that. Really, it's just a nice beer. It's just my favourite of all beers.
Okay, so what flavour-wise sets it apart from some of your other favourite beers? Or can you not You're taking another mouthful, aren't you?
Yeah. Of course. It's it's those citrusy undertones. And I know we talk a lot about. It feels like every beer we drink, there's citrus undertones to that. Mm-hmm. But that obviously comes through from the hops. But in this, to me, it just feels like the citrusy undertones are just so well balanced. Sometimes they're overpowering, sometimes they're not strong enough. But this is just it's just bang on for me. Everything about it is just right.
Okay. Well, I will agree that it tastes very well balanced, and I am surprised at the taste we're getting from a canned beer, because they, like you, I mean, everyone knows who listens to this that I'm new to ale, and that I do make a lot of presumptions based on a complete lack of knowledge. But I mean, I'm probably influenced by you a little bit in being a bit what's the word? Not hesitant, but a bit cynical about a canned ale, because, like you, canned beer is Carling or Kronenberg or Stella or something like that. And even now, when I go to Sainsbury's and I see Hobgoblin in a can, I know that's a great beer. We've reviewed it on the show. I've had it a few times. I really like it. But when I look at it in the can, a bit something in the back of my head is thinking, you don't want that, you want it in the bottle. For no reason whatsoever, because I know it's a good beer.
Yeah.
The Sainsbury's local across the road from us, they sell Abbey Ale, which I've never had. But they only sell it in cans, and there's no way that mentally I could buy that in a can. I mean, it might be a really good beer. I don't think you rate it very much. I'm not too sure. Maybe it's Andy that doesn't rate Abbey or Abbott.
Abbott. I don't rate Abbott. It's far too sweet.
But see, I've never tried it, and I never will when I can only buy it in a can.
You can get it in bottles. It does come in bottles as well.
Oh, I know that. I have seen it in bottles elsewhere, but it's always in cans over there. I mean, and that's silly. But, you know, if they only ever had Ghost Ship there in a can, I doubt I would have ever bought it in a can. I will now, because it tastes really nice.
Gotta say, if I was now given a choice between a can and a bottle, I think I'd go for the can.
Really?
And that's a big statement. But it just, you get so much more from the can than you do from the bottle. There's so much more. There's more aroma. There's more flavour. There's the taste just keeps on coming. I'm going to actually go on record and say this. I was wrong.
Oh. How would you rate this against the keg?
Sorry, I didn't hear the question.
Your ears were blocked while you were swallowing.
Yeah.
How would you rate the canned Ghost Ship against the keg Ghost Ship off the tap? Because we've got 3 types of Ghost Ship now. We've got the bottle, we've got the keg, and we've got the can. How would you rate? Where would I'm assuming the can will fall definitely above the bottle.
It would play a very second close to the keg because it's so similar in its makeup. The flavour, the aroma, the way it looks, the way it tastes, the way it feels. It's just very, very similar to the kegged version of Ghost Ship. Okay,
so let's nail it down. You're on to your second can, so we'll just pretend that you're finished. You're pretty much done.
Nearly. I might be going and getting another one in a second.
Yeah. Let's rate this, mate. So I'm going to...
Really?
I want your rating out of 5.
5. No, honestly, it's it was probably never going to be anything other than a 5. But if I could give it like a 5.1 or something like that, because I think it's just that 0.1 better than it is in a bottle.
Yeah.
And for me, I've only ever had it in a bottle or on a keg. My untapped rating is very much based on the bottled version of it. I actually think this is better than the bottled version.
Okay. I've just gone to tap it in and it's come back with my rating from the first time I had it when I gave it 3 out of 5. I'm going to upgrade that to 4 because I can actually remember drinking this now. It is very nice. I really like that. When I said it was a fresh aroma at the beginning, I mean it. It's really fresh. It's got that citrus in there. The very, very subtle hint of pine. And then you flip the pillow over and you take a mouthful. And it's a completely different experience. And you've got that nice spicy bitterness. You know what I mean by that. Yeah. That kind of rounded earthiness. You know what I mean by that. I'm not allowed to say those words. Very nicely balanced throughout. As with any good beer, the character changes as you get further down the glass. And as it warms up and it becomes oxygenated. And the aroma changes over time as well. Very nice can of beer. And we haven't said that on the show this season at all. So that's my final word on Adnams Ghost Ship. Hello.
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 Honestly.
I started wrapping up the show without you.
Okay.
Steve is back. Steve is back from the dead, folks. So let's just tie this up before his computer dies again. Ghost Ship from a Can, as I was saying to the audience while you were gone, Steve. A very fine beer. You gave it a 5.1 out of 5. I gave it a 4 out of 5. Very fine beer. Do you know, is it available widely in cans?
Some Tesco stores sell it. I wouldn't really know, actually, in terms of stockists.
Okay.
I've not seen it anywhere yet.
Right. It might just be still something they're just selling in their own stores, perhaps? As a trial, perhaps?
Maybe, yeah, maybe.
Anyway, let's wrap this up. I think you're getting a bit frustrated with your technical problems. And it's starting to show. Oh, no wonder you needed 2 beers tonight.
Yeah.
Okay.
2 Beer Tuesday.
Have you had a chance to consider your personal assignment for next week?
I have, yes. And next week we'll be opening the first store on the beer vent calendar.
Oh yes.
Which we're going to be doing, which I'm going to be doing during December for my personal assignments. So behind the first store is a Harvestoon brew called Mr. Snowballs. And that's what I'll be doing for my personal assignment next week.
Cool, because we're only 4 episodes away from the end of season 1, which will be tying up just before Christmas with a special Christmas episode. So that's why Steve's doing his little beer vent calendar, which is going to be very exciting, and I'm very much looking forward to all the little panels he opens up. He's not having a beer a day, don't worry. He's having one a week. I'm having a beer which I'm pretty sure you've never had before in your entire Wiley life, and that is an India Pale Ale from Harvey's, which is a Sussex brewery from down on Lewis. Am I right in saying you never had a Harvey's?
I've had Harvey's before, but I don't know which Harvey's I've had.
Knowing you as the bloody India Pale Ale, you love your IPAs. I'm not expecting this to be terribly HOPPY. Because it's only 3.2%. So that's great. Okay. Thanks very much, folks. Steve's, he's gone. He's gone bye-byes. I don't know where he is.
Am I back?
Oh, he's back! Steve, mate! No, he's not there. That's it, folks. Good evening. Cheerio.